Alright everyone, so now we move on to our next piece, In a Morning Mood. And the story of this piece is still within the legend of Pierre Hunt, and it's at the end of the play where he decides, after a lot of bad decision making, he decides to awaken his desire to return to his true love, the girl named Solveig. So, if you listen to it, you might recognize it, you might feel it, that it's the kind of music that you would wake up to. You see a lot of cinematic or films where the person is stretching and yawning and the birds are singing outside and it's a beautiful day. And that's what it's supposed to represent, the opening up of his desire to return back to his true love, a fresh desire within him. So, we need to recall the fact that Edvard was one of the only composers in his country. He was a big fish in a small pond, and he loved his country and his country loved him. He infused all the depths of his country's folklore, meaning the old tales. So the same way when your parents or your grandfathers or grandmothers tell you a story of old tales that they were told as kids and that their parents were told as kids and so on. That's folklore. That's stories that have transcended through the time of that country, of that particular place, and has been passed down from generation to generation. So he loved to infuse all of his nation's folk history, folk music, the geography, the dances, the customs, the people of old into his music, and he liked to write music for it. It's as if he wanted to leave a musical legacy that if people from anywhere would listen to it, they would be drawn into his country and would be intrigued as to what was actually going on. I actually want to learn a bit more about what this piece is about. So, his music vehicle was Norway, but the engine that drove that vehicle, his vehicle was music, but his passion, the engine that was driving that vehicle, was Norway. Some people, obviously, as whenever you're writing any piece of art or any or having a creative outlet, not everyone will be fond of your ideas. So for him in particular, there was a famous French composer, one of my favorite composers, Claude Debussy, who had a quote regarding Edvard Grieg, and he said, "Edvard, a pink bonbon wrapped in snow." A pink bonbon wrapped in snow. A bonbon is a French or German term meaning a sweet. So when he says pink bonbon, it's like he's a very exuberant child. So the same way when you have a young kid that's always bouncing and and if a Caucasian child, they'll be very pink when they're always happy and joyful. Wrapped in snow, meaning he's just always fascinated by snow around him because Norway is a very snowy country. So that was what he said regarding Edvard Grieg. We don't really know what Edvard thought about that, but he seemed to not really care. He enjoyed what he did, he knew he was good at it, and he stuck to it, continuing to infuse more and more Norwegian folklore into his music. He wasn't concerned about keeping everyone happy, but he was concerned about creating music he was proud of and that represented his homeland well. That links back into the purpose of a lot of romantic composers, a lot of the meaning behind their pieces. They wanted to get either very far-fetched moods or they wanted to talk about their nation. So he was really for talking about his nation with his music. So the main lesson I want you to learn from this part is no one can create art that everyone will like. Some of you might have written some stories, might have drawn some pieces of art, or even written some music, which we would love to hear, that maybe your friends were not too fond of, or maybe just people were like, it's not too great. But what really matters in the end? Is it pleasing other people or creating from a place of joy and passion? So think about that and listen to the music.